Um, and I will put on the share screen for you. Do you want to share the Pal Talk screen, or um, you share your screen?
I have a PowerPoint.
Okay,
I
very
could,
good. Well, then
yeah.
we will give you co-host, and you will be able to do
Thank
your
you.
thing.
Let's see how this thing goes.
There we go. Zulma
Let's
Gonzalez. This mic is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. Good morning. I am my voice is somewhere. It's better than it was, but it's not where it's going to be. I know where it's going to be. It's getting better by the moment. Um, so I decided that today I'm loving that on Fridays we are reading Living the Infinite Way by Joe Goldsmith. Um, when I earned my license as a science of mind, religious science practitioner, Joe Goldsmith was one of the uh, writers that we read. We read his book, Practicing the Presence, and much of all of actually, it's consistent, very consistent with what Science of Mind teaches. And for years, I've been talking about doing a workshop or something on Science of Mind meets A Course in Miracles. Actually, it would be A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. Um, and this morning, it hit me. I mean, in the middle of the night, it hit me because I couldn't figure out just what I would how I would begin to introduce this. But I am going to do the best I can. It may go be a little scattered, but because it just came to me in the middle of the night, but it'll get better. It'll become more focused as I go along um, over the next few weeks, trusting that this works out the way I'd like it to. I am excited actually to be able to bring both Course in Miracles as I understand it, um, and Science of Mind, um, those things that are in common, those things that we share, and I'm excited about it. I really am excited about it. So I'm going to start with talking about a couple of the things that where the course um, and religious science seem to differ. Um, there's always a question of reality because as we learned with Joe Goldsmith that if everything is God, that means that everything is God, nothing excluded, nothing at all excluded. Um, and 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 yet we're taught that what we see is not real. Now the course says that it's not God. I'm going to give you the definition of reality from the Science of Mind text. Reality is the truth about anything. Reality actually means that which is indestructible, incapable of decay. And of course, in Miracles, absolutely um, agrees with that. There's no question about that. Reality is unchanging and everlasting. Why? Okay, stop share. Um, I'm gonna hit share screen again. I realize I don't know if I have to hit share sound on my end. I don't know why, but I'm going to hit share sound on this end, and then I'm going to hit share again. All right. Dove, can you hear me? Am I being heard in the room? Is there sound now? I'm speaking. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nobody's replying. I don't know. I'm going to continue because it is being um, live streamed. So I'm going to go back to the Zoom and go from there and we'll see what happens. Uh-huh. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me? Oh, I see what's going on. Lynn, your mic isn't on in Pal Talk. So I can't, so I'm not being heard. I'm typing this in Pal Talk. All right, let me make this. I'm going back to sharing my screen. I will continue. So I was saying that the self, I'm still reading from Dr. Ernest Holmes from his book, The Science of Mind. And that is the definitive text, the 1938 edition, 1938, The Science of Mind, a philosophy, a faith, and a way of life. So I was defining reality. Reality is the truth about anything. It is indestructible, incapable of decay. It is unchanging. It is everlasting. The self we see is what man has thought about himself, the form he has molded by himself. And of course, Miracles states the same thing, that that we have made ourselves, that we made ourselves, that creation is the indestructible, and what we make is the temporary. The real self is perfection, for God could not know anything unlike himself. Our sonship is reality, Christ abiding in us. The kingdom of God within is reality. And the Course in Miracles teaches not that the kingdom of God is within us, that the kingdom of God is us, and different. And what Science of Mind, the way Science of Mind says that, is that reality, as concerning man, is that God in man, as man, is man. That God in me, as me, is me. There is no separation, is what A Course in Miracles continues to teach us. There is no separation. Course in Miracles teaches that nothing real can be threatened, that nothing unreal exists. I want to put that on this slide. That nothing real can be threatened, and that nothing unreal exists. And to say that nothing unreal exists basically is saying that is basically saying that what isn't real is temporary. Saying the same thing, the exact same thing. It's just the wording is, nothing unreal exists. It's very poetic and it's beautiful, but unreal means that what's not real, and to exist is to have permanence. So, and again, Ernest Holmes and other metaphysicians teach that reality actually means what is indestructible, incapable of decay, unchanging, and everlasting. It's the truth about everything. I don't know if Pal Talk let me go back to Pal Talk and see if I can be heard. Dub is here. Has just joined me in the room. There is no sound in Pal Talk. Dove, I appreciate you being here. Um,
I just want to say it's not playing in the room.
yes, but if I usually Lynn connects the Zoom to the Pal Talk. If I click to be in Pal Talk, I can try it, but usually Lynn makes that connection. Is that correct?
Uh, I don't know the mechanics. I don't know the mechanics. I'm sorry, but I just was saying it's not playing in the room. The silence,
Sure.
I gather.
I understand, but that's something that Lynn usually takes care of. If I if I go into Pal Talk and turn myself, okay, Lynn's got it now. Lynn did it. We got it. And I will turn off my audio in Pal Talk and stop my share off. There we go.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that Lynn does that part of it. That's the extra part. I was just responsible for being here. If I had turned myself on in Pal Talk, then it would have been echoing because I'm my in Zoom and my tier in Zoom or YouTube. Anyway, all is well. All is well.
So
We're
weird
here now.
because I had the mic. I'm not sure why it wasn't broadcasting. So
It's not it's not
All right.
broadcasting on
Well, all
YouTube.
right. Maybe it's broadcasting now. Maybe it is now. I mean, but when I left the room, it was silent.
Yeah, it
okay,
wasn't coming in Pal Talk.
okay. So sorry, I was getting coffee. So
I figured that's what I figured. Actually, I didn't want to put you on the spot and say, "Oh, she's probably not." No, I didn't want to do that.
yeah, yeah. No, I
so,
had to have some coffee.
so it
I just
says that
got
it's
up.
live
So
on YouTube. Is it? Should
it
I?
is live on YouTube. Yes,
Okay, so it is actually streaming. All right. Um.
yes.
Okay, I will go. Dove, you are muted, sir, and now you can hear me in Pal Talk.
All
Yes.
right. Now it's on pause. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Good to see you this morning, sir. Good
Okay.
to see you. All right. I will go back to live stream, rather to machine screen share. Um, and this screen share, of course, is for those who are uh, either watching YouTube, for those who are watching YouTube, because Pal Talk is basically that, it's talk. Unless I were to copy paste this information into Pal Talk, which I'm not going to do. That's too much work right now. It's too much work. Um, however, I am going to share my screen again. And from the Science of Mind, I'm going to read a little bit because I want to make some connections to how this relates to the course and how the course relates to it. So in the Science of Mind, section titled, it's just a small section, How Laws Are Discovered. It says, in the scientific discovery of laws, certain theories are postulated. Such theories may develop through research and investigation. When a theory proves to be correct after many experiments, then a principle is announced. That's key. When a theory proves to be correct after many experiments, then a principle is announced. In this way, scientific truth is demonstrated, but no one has ever seen any of these principles which science announces, as no one has ever seen the great cause with a capital C, which lies back of all the manifestations of life. As soon as a law is discovered, experiments are made with it, certain facts are proven to be true, and in this way, a science is gradually formulated. Any science consists of the number of facts known about its invisible principle. Key here, invisible principle. As more and more facts are gathered and proven, as more and more facts are gathered and proven, the science expands and gradually becomes accepted by all and may be used by those who understand it. And that's key about being used by those who understand it, because, the Course teaches us that an untrained mind knows nothing. If we don't use it, we can, owning the book is one thing. Reading the lessons is, just reading a lesson just to be reading is another. But if I'm not taking time to study, then what's the point here? The Course teaches, rather, in Science of Mind, talks about refers to itself as the science of spiritual psychology. And in Science of Mind, it reads, train yourself to think what you wish to think, feel what you wish to feel, and place no limit on principle. That we should daily train our thought to recognize the spirit in everything we do, say, or think, and that is spirit with a capital S. There is no other way. To try any other way would be to make a complete failure. And the Course coincides with that by saying an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. And that the Course of Miracles is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. So that what was not heard in the Pal Talk room, I believe, was talking about reality. What I'm doing is I am bringing A Course in Miracles to meet Science of Mind, and but I've been thinking about wanting to do this for a very, very long time, and because Glory and in conjunction with Lynn are we read Living the Infinite Way, Living the Infinite Way on Fridays, and how the Infinite Way coincides very much with the religious science principle, the metaphysical teachings. I thought this was a good place to bring it together, and being clear that it's the ego we learn in religious and Science of Mind. We learn in I'm getting twisted up. The ego we learn in A Course in Miracles is always trying to separate and make differences and make distinctions, but the truth is that it is all one, and it may read differently in one work or read differently in another, but ultimately, and that's a good thing, because sometimes it is by reading it by one person that a person will get it, and reading it another way that a person will get it. I remember when I first started the course, and I read that I was to do one lesson a day. I read that, and I read lesson one. It said, nothing I see means anything. And I thought, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I had to turn the next page, where it said that I give everything all the meaning that it has for me. And that's what made lesson one make sense. I needed to see something else. I needed to see something differently in order to get the understanding. And it was then that I was able to go back and actually study and do the first lesson. So sometimes we read it from one author, we read it from another, we hear audio, we might see a video, we have so many teachers out here today, outstanding teachers, the Rupert Spira and the Byron Katie's and the Wayne Dyers and the Eckhart Tolle, and all these. We have so many. The Marianne Williamsons. We have so many, and the truth has only one path. The course teaches that a universal theology is impossible. But the truth is that the universality of it all is still all one. One. So I'm going back to my screen, my slides. So Science of Mind is defined as the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought, the conception that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in, through, around, and for us. Of course, in Miracles reminds us that God is all there. We live, move, and have our being in it. And that passage first is in the Bible, that we live, move, and have our being in God. The Science of Mind text, that we live, move, and have our being in mind. And that's mind with a capital M. And where the Course talks about, speaks of mind with a capital N, it's speaking of the mind of God. So we're talking about that same mind. The science of mind could have very well been called the science of God. But, people shun when they see that. They get all weirded out when they see that word God. So Ernest Holmes chose, was inspired to choose the word mind with a capital M to still mean God, truth, life, reality. It's still all the same thing. So the science of mind refers to itself as the science of spiritual psychology. And it reads, the universe holds nothing against us. The Course teaches that God has never forgiven, because God does not condemn. God doesn't forgive because God doesn't condemn. The universe, Science of Mind text teaches, holds nothing against us. No matter how many mistakes we have made, we are still perfect beings within, and within may become the without if we will carefully train ourselves, train ourselves to listen to the inner voice of truth, which speaks to us in our moments of quietness and solitude. A Course in Miracles reminds us in Review 1, in the first review after Lesson 50, it reminds us that the purpose of our learning, that we will need our learning most. We will learn to require no special settings in which to apply what we have learned. We will need our learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting rather than in those that already seem to be calm and quiet. The purpose of our learning is to enable us to bring the quiet with us and to heal distress and turmoil. This is not done by avoiding them and seeking a haven of isolation for ourselves. We will yet learn that peace is part of us. We will yet learn that peace is part of us. We will yet learn that peace is part of us and requires only that we be there to embrace any situation, in which we are. And finally, we will learn that there is no limit to where we are, so that our peace is everywhere as we are. It's inevitable. The within becomes the without. If we carefully train ourselves to listen to the inner voice of truth, which speaks to us in our moments of quietness and solitude. The only other slide that I have right now is about cause and effect. And these are just grabbing pieces here and there. In the Course, it teaches that cause, with a capital C, is a term properly belonging to God, and his effect, with a capital E, is his Son. That's you, that's me, because we are the one Son. As is mentioned also in the Science of Mind about that sonship. The Course also reminds us that cause and effect are one. They are not separate. We think they are separate because we look within. We're taught in the preface of the Course that we look in and then project that out. And I'll read that in a moment. But before I do, I want to continue here with what Dr. Ernest Holmes says. We say God is spirit, but no one ever saw God. The Bible says, no man hath seen God at any time, only the Son, he hath revealed him. To express this idea in our language, No one has seen capital C cause, because we see an effect and we know there must be capital C cause. Nothing is more evident than the fact that we live. And since we live, we must have life. And since we have life, there must be life with a capital L. The only proof we have of capital M mind is that we think. The eternal principle, the capital E, capital P, the eternal principle is forever hidden. I repeat, cause, capital C from the Course, is a term properly belonging to God, and his effect, capital E, is his Son. And in chapter 26, again, that cause and effect are one, not separate. So the Course, I'm going to drop my screen for now. So the Course and religious science, or the other way around, religious science, science of mind, and A Course in Miracles, and the Infinite Way, they all are teaching the same thing. The wording is a bit different. I remember when I first started reading the Course and it talked about what's real and what's not, I couldn't understand that. Nothing real can be threatened, that nothing unreal exists. And even though we're told, don't go to the dictionary because the way the dictionary has it is different. It means something different in the dictionary. And no, the words that we use, these symbols that we use, are in fact words that we get from the dictionary. So let's go there. We're taught that nothing real can be threatened. This is from the Course. And nothing unreal exists. What is unreal is what's not real. What exists is what is permanent. What is permanent is not real. That's simple. That's plain. Now I understand it, but I had to go to the dictionary to look at the word exists and what it meant. I had to do that. In the section in the Course about what it says, we're taught that the world of perception is the world of time, change, beginnings, and endings. Now, let me go back a bit. A Course in Miracles makes a fundamental distinction between the real and the unreal, between knowledge and perception. Knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. And Science of Mind teaches that all is love and all is law, because it's all God. All is love, which is where everything begins. Everything propels from love, and the law carries it out. We talk about a seed and the soil and the plant, the seed being love. And it goes into the soil, which is the law, where life is happening the way it's happening because of what we are putting in is what we're going to get out. And that is what we see in the effect, which we call the plant, the manifestation. As it says in the Course, all thought produces form at some level. So the Course again, knowledge is truth under one law, the law of love or God. Truth is unalterable, eternal, and unambiguous. And what did Ernest Holmes say? Reality, unalterable, eternal. The Course continues, it can be unrecognized, but it cannot be changed. It applies to everything that God created, and only what he created is real. Of course, what is real is what exists. What exists is what's permanent. It's that simple, actually. What's real, anything else, everything that we see, everything that I own, everything that I'm looking at right now is temporary. The computer itself is temporary. My body is temporary. But the essence of what I am, the essence of what we are, is permanent. That's God. That is the truth of what we are. That's the life force, our source. It is beyond learning because it is beyond time and process. It has no opposite, no beginning, and no end. It merely is. And in living the infinite way, last week before, we we read a section that talked about exactly that. It says we can't say what God is. We can call it love, we can call it truth, we can call it life, we can call it love, we can call it whatever we want to call it. The only thing that we can say for certain is that it is. It is. And I love how Joel Goldsmith worded that. I would like to read that if I maybe, maybe not. Um, but anyway, he talks, he reads, it's so profound and it's so clear. It is. Life is. It is. We call it good, we call it bad. Those are just our judgments of it. We think if it's something that we like, it's good. If it's something that we don't, it's bad. But it simply is. And even for me, calling it good or calling it bad, calling it good based on a dictionary means that there's an opposite to it. It's bad. And even though the course teaches us, as Science of Mind teaches, and all of our spiritual truth teachings teach that it's all good because it's all God. That word good for me still has, I still have issues with it because, again, if I think there's a good, then there must be a bad. So for me, it simply is. I know it's for my highest, it's for my best, and it has to be because life isn't punishing me, because life isn't condemning me. God is not condemning me. So it has to be always for my best, always evolving. Science of Mind teaches that it's always evolving. It's an evolution in which we are involved. Our involution determines our evolution. We have to become involved. An untrained mind learns nothing, learns nothing. We have to become involved. The course teaches that we have to have study at some level. We have to become involved if we wish to evolve. So the course is teaching about the world of perception, on the other hand, is the world of time, of change, of beginnings and endings. It's the stuff that we see. It's based on interpretation and not on facts, which is why in chapter 12, it says that we ought not analyze the motives of another because our judgments are based on our interpretations. It's not on the thing itself. It's never the thing itself. It's always our interpretations, not on facts. It is the world of birth and death, founded on the belief in scarcity, loss, separation, and death. It is learned rather than given. When we were, I was going to say when we were born, but I have to retract that. Our being has always been, and therefore our having has always been. Everything that we are is what we be. If I can say it in colloquial, what we be is what we have. The course teaches that every response we make is determined by what we think we are. So what we want to be must determine every response we make. Do we want to be an ego, which is not real, which is always about pain and grief and suffering and loss and the belief in scarcity and the belief that there's that we're separate and that there's that we can be alone and that there's nothing out there for me to hold me, to guide me, to protect me, or the Holy Spirit thought system a system of truth and peace and joy, and realizing that everything is for me. Everything is for me. Everything is for me. But before I continue with that, um, something else that I came across in the Science of Mind text about creativity. And I'm stopping and starting to screen share because it's my first time doing this and it's confusing. The Course teaches us that because of our likeness to our Creator, we are creative. It says, because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. And that's in chapter 2. And it says, and it teaches that there are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. Ernest Holmes writes that all forms, I'm sorry, my voice is doing crazy things. I'm going to mute for a moment. I'm going to turn my screen off for just a moment to make myself a bit more comfortable here. Okay. All forms, Ernest Holmes writes, all forms are theoretically resolvable into a universal energy and substance upon which and through which intelligence with a capital I operates. Now, any word that has that capital I, mind, God, life, truth, all those words as we see them with the capital letter are still talking about what we call God, the isness. So all forms are theoretically resolvable into a universal energy and substance upon which and through which capital I intelligence operates. The Bible says, I hear my voice going in and out. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and all things were made by the Word, and without the Word was not anything made that was made. The Bible clearly speaks of the physical universe and everything in it as though it were a word in form. That God is spirit, that the action of spirit upon itself, capital I, produces creation, that man is a complement of the universe, an incarnation of the universe, partaking of the same nature, which again goes back to what the Course is, that because of your likeness to your Creator, you are creative. Your likeness means that you are like your Creator. We are created in the image of the Creator. We are created in the likeness. We are created like the Creator. The Course tells us that we are not, that God is not in us, that God is part of us, that we are what God is. And it continues, the Bible clearly speaks of the physical universe. Okay, so that consequently, his word is creative. We're talking about our word is creative. This should answer the question of the students who are unable to understand how thoughts can become a thing. What does the Course teach? There are no idle thoughts. All thinking produces form at some level. I'll repeat the sentence. This should answer the question of the students who are unable to understand how thought can become a thing, how thoughts can influence objective life, whether it be the physical body or the physical environment. That goes back to the whole thing of cause and effect. It goes back to the cause and effect. It goes back to what the Course teaches. Lost my screen. What the Course teaches about the world that we know as the world of effects. Back to the preface where it says the world, talk back to the world of perception. The world of perception is the world of tangible stuff, the tangible thoughts becoming things. We think it, we make it, and there it is. And the problem with it is that we think it's real. We think it's permanent. We think that this moment is captured in time because it's being recorded. No, it keeps on going. It keeps on going. And one day there will be no recordings and there will be no any of this that we see because God is spirit. We are spirit. It is all spirit in form, but what we see in form is tangible. So from knowledge and perception, the Course teaches, two distinct thought systems arise, which are opposite in every respect. In the realm of knowledge, no thoughts exist apart from God, because God and his creation share one will. And that has to be the case if what I am is what God is. If what God is what I am, that's all that can be possible. And this is why in the Course, in our workbook lessons, we learn that my thoughts are images that I've made, that I have no neutral thoughts, that I see no neutral things. These are all things that I make up, that I make up. And then, above all else, I want to see things differently. And in wanting to see things differently, that's when I recognize and realize that God is in everything I see. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. God is in everything that we see because God is in our minds. Now, from the purest Course perspective, we're talking about not what we see with the physical eye, but it's because it's what I see with the physical eye. This is where the training is coming from. I need this to recognize that what I see with the physical eye is the temporary, and that beyond that is this creative source, is the God, is the essence, is the life. When we talk about namaste, that when I see the God in you, Karen Drucker reads that you are the face of God. This word face, it's a tangible word. But what we're doing is looking beyond that, recognizing that God in us, as us, is us. God in us, as us, is us. The Course teaches that God is not, that we are part of God. We are it. Back to the drop of water in the ocean. The ocean is complete. And every drop of water in that ocean is complete in itself. And yet it's all part of the ocean. Ernest Holmes talks about unity not being uniformity. It is all one. One. I was just reading that. I wonder if I could find that. One, one, one. Let's see if I can find that. Where in the science of mind, it says one, one, one. And it says it that way. And I love how we always, here it is. Let's see if I can bring this up on the screen. It's written, it's kind of small, but I can make that bigger. There is, oops, I lost it. There is one infinite mind, There is one infinite mind. I will make that bigger for those who are able to see it on the screen. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. And that's one with a capital O, infinite with a capital I, mind with a capital M. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. This mind, capital M, is through, in, and around man, around woman, around us. It is the capital O, capital M. It is the only mind there is. And back to that. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. It is the only mind there is because every time man thinks, he uses it. There is one infinite spirit, all capitals, capital one, capital infinite, capital spirit. And every time man says, I am, he proclaims it with a capital I. There is one infinite substance, and every time man moves, he moves in it. There is one infinite law. And yes, there are no laws but God's. The Course reminds us there are no laws but God's. There is one infinite law, and every time man thinks, he sets this law in motion. There is one infinite God, and every time man speaks to this God, he receives a direct answer. One, one, one. I am God, and there is none else. There is one limitless life, which returns to the thinker exactly what he thinks into it. Which is why the Course teaches that what we believe is what's true for us. We actually, if all thoughts create form at some level, then we are actually making our world. We make our own world. There is one limitless life which returns to the thinker exactly what he thinks into it. One, one, one. In all, over all, and through all. Talk, live, act, believe, and know that you are a center in this capital O, one. All the power, capital P, all the power there is, all the presence, capital P, all the presence there is, all the love, capital L, all the love there is, all the peace, all capital P, all the peace there is, all the good, capital G, there is, and the only God there is omnipresent. Consequently, the infinite is in and through man and is in and through everything. And then from there comes that quote, act as though I am and I will be. I am going to put this in the Kyle Talk chat. That quote I'm going to put in the chat. Ultimately, it's all one. We keep saying, uh-oh. I got logged out of Paul Talk. I got logged out of the Pal Talk room. I'm going back in. Okay. I'm back. I got logged out of the Pal Talk. I gotta turn off this sound. Okay. So I'm on it, Lynn. I'm doing the best I can here between screen sharing and and reading and trying to be in 3 places at once, basically. So I don't know if that quote made it. So I'm going to put it back in the chat. It's by Ernest Holmes. The quote, act as though I am and I will be, is not his quote. So, oh wait, it came up twice. Oh, I'm having a time here. My phone is doing all kinds of things. I'm in the middle of busy in different areas, so I'm going to at least turn that notification off because it's getting on my nerves. Um, okay. So this quote by Ernest Holmes, I am putting it in the Pal Talk chat, and we read it on the screen of the Zoom. And I'm going to stop share because I don't know what you can see on the screen. Ah, so going back and forth, we learned that I've learned, speaking for myself, that everything I see, when I see you, I see me. But what I'm actually seeing is not a physical you. I mean, I'm not seeing a physical me. When I look at Lynn and I look at Lynn's face, I don't see this face that I'm looking at right now. I'm seeing, as Karen Drucker says, the face of God. But this form. So this form, as I'm seeing Lynn, I look at Lynn and I see God. God is omnipresent, everywhere, present, everywhere, in everything, living in it, moving in it, having our being in it. Everything is God. And the Course says this in different ways. In different ways, it says that my mind is part of God's. My mind is part of God's. I am blessed as a son of God. God is the mind with which I think. Now, I am going to put that on the screen because what stands out to me in this particular lesson, and it sure comes up in other places, that the M in mind, God is the mind with which I think. That M mind is the same mind that we talk about when we say science of mind with a capital M. That same mind. God is the capital M mind with which I think. And what the science of mind is showing, that this is real. It's real. You can't see it, but yet you can prove it. We see it in form. It's that this Pal Talk room, that what has started out as a room where people could talk and type interactively and raise their virtual hand to take a microphone, has since become a place where we can Zoom and we can do it on YouTube, thanks to Lynn and others who have helped to figure this stuff out. Gratitude, 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 gratitude is all. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. Gratitude is the way I express my love. God is the mind, capital M mind, with which I think. It's all real. You think with the mind of God. We think with the mind of God. Therefore, we share our thoughts with God. And God shares thoughts with us. They're the same thoughts because they are thought by the same capital M mind. This is from workbook lesson 45. And it's interesting, as I'm reading this. Therefore, your thought, same mind, to share is to make alike or to make one, nor do the thoughts you think with the capital M mind of God leave your mind, small m mind, because thoughts do not leave the source. Therefore, your thoughts, hear it clearly now, your thoughts are in the mind of God as you are. They are in your mind, small m, as well, where he is. As you are part of his capital M mind, so are your thoughts part of his capital M, mind. I didn't, as I was reading that, I wasn't, I knew that the capital M mind came in there somewhere in the course. I couldn't figure out where. And as I was reading through the workbook lessons, I saw it. God is the mind with which I think. And there's a science that proves it. It proves it. Going back to what Ernest Holmes wrote, he says that when a theory proves to be correct after many experiments, then a principle is announced. Invisible principle. And we talk about the principles of miracles. We talk about the spiritual principles of 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 science of mind, of religious science, the spiritual principles of life. These principles, we didn't make them. They couldn't be made. They had to be created by the source. Ultimately, the same source. And I'm trusting to be able to continue bringing this together a little more cohesive. Perhaps next week. I did my best. I'm trusting that you were able to understand it. If not, you know where to find me. I'm right here. I love you. Lynn, I am going to turn this mic over to you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Zulma. God bless you. Sorry for you know what? No, I'm not. These are things we learn from. So it's just, we'll figure it all out. Anyway, thank you, Zulma. I love you. And
Thank
are you
you.
going to take this spot now? So,
That that's my intention. Yes.
okie dokie, we will put you we'll put you on the spot then. All right.
Okay.